them, Bobs, about the emergency fund.
Okay, well, first of all, emergency fund is ultra important. It's the very first thing that you should do. This is not my thought. I didn't come up with this. A gentleman named Dave Ramsey did. And it just makes perfect sense because emergencies happen. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. The first step he has something called baby steps, but the first step is $1,000 in an emergency fund. You should work towards that as quickly as you possibly can. Give up the Starbucks. Give up the going out to dinner. If you don't have $1,000 in your emergency fund, you're just waiting for disaster. Let me give you an example. If you have a home or apartment, and you probably have a refrigerator, your refrigerator goes out. You can do one of two things. Everything in your refrigerator you can throw away because it's going to go bad, or you can call up Lowe's or Home Depot and say, deliver me a refrigerator. A refrigerator is about $1,000 or less. If something goes wrong with your car, this is actually what happened to me, and this is how I learned about emergency funds. I'm driving down the road, the freeway, when I lived in Southern California, and a ladder fell off a truck in front of me. I ran over the ladder. 4 flat tires.
Wow.
Okay? So 4 flat tires, what am I going to do? I limp over to the nearest tire place, and I go, I need 4 tires, because mine were shredded. Okay? And guess how much the bill was? $1,000. I didn't have it. So I had to use a credit card, which took me probably 5 years to pay off
Plus the interest.
because I was paying minimum payment, 18% interest when the interest was that low. And it just was silly. And I said, this is stupid. I should have at least $1,000 that I can tap into if something like this happens again.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you something.
Oh, now it's an interview. Okay, so go ahead and interview me.
Hey, boss. Because it's enough for that example. I just want to ask if savings and emergency fund, is there any different from the two, or are they the same?
The two what?
Like the savings, between the savings and emergency fund.
No, you have $1,000 of cash. You have it in your drawer at home. You can have it at the bank in a savings account. Don't put it in a money market. Don't put it in a certificate of deposit, a CD, for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Oh, I'll get a couple points of interest. That's not what an emergency fund is for. Emergency fund is to get you out of trouble.
Oh, like emergency, right?
Like an emergency.
Like what happened right now in the world, like.
No, not like what happened in the world. That's something much, much bigger.
Yeah.
But if you don't have at least an emergency fund, you're totally screwed. Will your refrigerator go out? Yes.
Yeah.
When will it go out? Tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
In 3 years? It doesn't matter when it will.
Yeah.
And when it does, do you have the money to replace it? Like I said earlier, you can throw away all the food in it. And when you start thinking, adding up just in your door, I look at your door, right? The items in your door, it's the mayo, it's the mustard, it's the ketchup, it's the chili sauce, it's butter, it's sour cream, it's all these little things, and you go, oh, that's no big deal if I lose that. Go replace everything just in your door. You're looking at $100, $150 probably.
So how important is emergency fund to a family like us?
I don't know how to emphasize it any more than it's incredibly important. It's the first thing you do. You don't get a dog. You don't buy a toy for your child. You go as lean and mean as you can until you get $1,000. Don't mess with this. Okay?
When did you start practicing yourself, your life, that emergency fund?
I was 50 years old. I was late to the game, but it doesn't matter when you get to the game. Mm-hmm. Once you're in the game and you realize it, take the steps to change things.
What makes you realize that you really need to have an emergency fund?
The story I told you.
About the
ladder fell off. I ran over. I have 4 flat tires. I'm on the side of the road. What am I going to do? I ain't got the money.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a credit card.
So what?
See, now wait a minute. I had a credit card,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Now, interestingly, I've got credit, so I can just charge it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Are you going to pay for those tires over and over again because of the interest?
Yeah.
Don't be dumb like that. Come on, let's use common sense. this is my saying, okay? This is my saying that I made up. Common sense isn't common. So if your God above gave you some, He expects you to use it.
It's wisdom.
Okay? Wisdom. A guy named Dave Ramsey came up with this, $1,000. If you think, oh, I'll never have $1,000, and I thought this. I was 50 years old. I was probably $25,000 in credit card debt. I had no savings whatsoever, and I said, this is absolutely stupid. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm 61 now. I'm 11 years with no debt. I paid off that debt in about 3 or 4 months because I had a priority and I wanted it done. I was tired of being in debt. Go ahead.
So, Bob, so what is your advice to the people that is listening or watching this video right now? What is your, what can you impart, like the wisdom you can impart to them with in response to that emergency fund?
Sure, very simple. Don't be a dummy. Whether you're in your 20s, teens, start young. Your teens. I will tell you this. We have a daughter. She's in the Philippines. She has an emergency fund.
Yeah, she has.
She has $1,000 American in her Philippine account. Okay, and it's because I kept telling her, you must have this. You must have this. Teach your children. When you're in your teens, get this. It's a priority. It's the number one thing. Teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s for me, 60s, grandmas. Grandma, you ain't got $1,000? Goodness sake, what's wrong? Okay, you make it a priority. If it's a priority, you'll get it done. If it's not a priority, you go, hey, Grubhub, whatever, Taco Bell delivers.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's your emergency fund, okay. But when your refrigerator goes out, when someone slashes your tires, when we need to have a deductible. It doesn't have to be an earthquake. Something very simple. You're running down the road and your windshield gets a crack in it and it's not legal to run.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta have a deductible. Most deductibles are $500, but you can get a windshield for $100, $200. Okay, things happen. You know this because you've lived life, and things have happened in the past. Guess what? They will happen in the future.
Yes.
Guaranteed. Go ahead.
Thank you, boss. So, I think that's really a bright ideas about emergency fund, and I hope people who's watching right now this video we're going to start saving up.
Yeah.
Starting at 1,000.
It's very simple to do this. Let me give you some of the techniques to do this. When you get paid, a lot of folks are on direct deposit, right? Probably almost everybody is. Go to the ATM at your bank so you're not charged. Or if you have a bank like mine, if I use a ATM anywhere in the United States, they refund my fee for using that ATM, and it takes about a week. So normally, because I'm a truck driver, when I use an ATM at a truck stop, it's $3.95 is the charge. And then in about a week, the bank pays that back to me, okay?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Take $20.
Give up your
$20
Starbucks
and put it in your little secret fund.
Yeah.
And every week, put that in. In a year, you'll have $1,000. Because $20 times 50 weeks is $1,000.
Yeah.
But do it quicker. But if that's all you can do, $20 a week, do it that way. Now look at this is during the CV thing, right? There's this craziness, CV-19, right? Here's the thing, is if you didn't have it and you just lost your job, you're crying. So unemployment's not going to help that much. It's going to help some, not that much. If you had it, okay, you could get by longer. I don't know where we're at in the bell curve of this, but I think we're like this. I think it's going to be another couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So today is a good time to start, but if you're not working, no, do not do this. Conserve your money. Don't cut your subscriptions, cut your cable. You need to be on a total tight budget where you're going to a food bank. Don't not be humble and go, I'll never get money or I'll never get food at a food bank. I had to be humbled by the Lord to go to a food bank, and you know what? I learned so much about food banks. There's so much food. We talk about hunger all the time. If anybody's hungry, it's because they have too much pride. They will not humble themselves and go to a food bank. There is gobs of food at a food bank. So humble yourself. Call your utility companies and say, look, I'm out of work. What can we work out so you don't turn off my power? I mean, all these things are so helpful, but you gotta be humble. So humble yourself. Yes.
Yeah, so I hope, in this kind of situation that we are facing right now, people are, the government are shutting the business of the people, especially those are
non-essentials.
Non-essential jobs. So people really are very affected.
Sure.
Yesterday when we passed in a like a food chain, there's no cars outside, so it means that they are shutting down, so they don't have work. So if you don't have emergency fund in this kind of situation, guys, right now you will be screwed. Especially when you have kids that you are going to to feed, because the utilities and bills will never stop, guys. It will always be there. Our mouth will always be wanting some, or our stomach will be almost always hungry. So this will be the time to contemplate and start to put in some money, guys, and learn about this kind of situation, that this is not this this time these things will really pacify. And I hope so, we hope so, that we will going to, when the economy like starts to boom again, we will gonna have our work again.
Sure.
So we will going to put on.
But what do we do in the meantime? I mean, there's so many things you can do. There's an old saying about a tree. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Okay.
Yeah.
Think about, even if you're in an apartment, okay, the simplest thing, plant a tomato plant. Okay. Most people like tomatoes, that's why I'm using that.
Yeah.
But plant something that, tomatoes, in basically a month or two, you're going to start to see fruit. What if in a month we're still in this? Okay? You have then some food from your tomato.
Yeah.
Put it on your balcony. It's springtime. What if this happened at the beginning of winter? Oh my gosh, this would be crazy. But what we're trying to show you here, and my wife asked me to talk on this, I'm no expert. I just know this. For 11 years, I haven't had any debt. Because I said, I don't care. I wanted my credit score to be 0, okay, which it's not. 350 is the lowest. But I can tell you, I'll tell you what my credit score is, because I just got a notice from my bank that I deal. But anyway, my credit is 550. Nobody will give me a loan at 550, and I'm so glad they won't. Because if I get some bug up my butt to go, man, I think I want to buy a car, let's say, they won't lend me the money. Thank God. Thank God. I don't want credit. I want to live on my own. Okay? But there's so many things. You're in a nice apartment. Maybe it's time to get a roommate. Humility. Maybe it's time to step down to not that 2-bedroom that has that extra, or that 3-bedroom. The one that you have to go do your laundry somewhere else instead of inside. I can't tell you how to live, but you know what? Tough times. I can imagine. And look at all the older folks that went through the Depression. Interview them, talk to them. My goodness. Go to a nursing home and say, look, this is like a depression. What do we do? What did they do in the Depression? My mom taught me about something when she was growing up. They made something that was like a pastry. It was called a dough god. Okay, it was a little bit of water, flour, and they could get yeast. So they put a little sprinkles of yeast, and they would let it rise, and then they would fry it in a ironclad cast iron skillet with a little oil. And then when it was done, they'd do both sides, and then they'd sprinkle a little bit of sugar on it. And that's, sometimes they had one of those, sometimes all day. That's all they had. Let me just say real quick, personally, I'm in day 4 of a fast. I started this fast because I said, number 1, I need to fast for health reasons. But 2, how cool is it that in this time where everything's in shortage, I'm fasting? What if just 1 or 2 or 3, maybe 5% of America fasted?
people in the world.
They would get healthier.
Yeah.
And they would save a lot of money on food.
Goodness, yeah.
So it's an idea. So, what
So
else, Bob?
I think we're gonna cut the video, guys. I'm
Thank
sorry, guys. My video is getting too long, 7-10 minutes, guys. Thank you so much. But guys, and this video is really long, guys. But you were going to, internalize what's the content, guys. It's really helpful to our life, guys. Believe me. Even my sister-in-law, guys, is really thankful because of the advice of the emergency fund, guys. She said that, Ate, if you don't give me that idea, Ate, my family will really starve. So I said, wow, if you are a wise, it's always being advised in the Bible, guys. A wise man is a person who always listen for an advice. So if you are wise enough to listen and advice, guys, you will really be ahead of life. That's it. And your family will be very blessed because you are there to help them all the time. So
well,
that's it.
It's wonderful that the Bible is full of wisdom. It's do we apply it, number one.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I mentioned earlier is humility. You have to humble yourself, and it's not fun to humble yourself. But think about it. Thank you. Bye.